It is really hard to live your life and do your normal routines, go to work, come back home, do your workout, go to bed, knowing that we are run by predators. We're run by predators. We are run by people who use children for their personal pleasure and have been doing so for decades, or at the very least, aided and abetted it, didn't say anything when they saw it, covered for it, are friends with people, stayed friends with people who were doing those things. And that many of those people actually wield an incredible amount of influence in our lives, in our lifestyle, in our life outcomes, and increasingly our thoughts. I'm sure people will relate to this. I don't know if anyone will, but it is hard to go into fucking work and be like, oh, like these people, these monsters that we've conspiratorially joked about are real. They're real. And someone who ran a stop sign is getting more accountability than all of them combined. It's been hard. It's been hard to not be like, what's the point? This is a slightly hopeless video. I apologize. I will find some hope later, I think. But I also acknowledge the part that we have to play in all of this. And what I mean by that is, I'm not a history buff, but I would venture to guess that there were cabals and secret societies in human history, that it's been documented. And if it's been documented, it means that it keeps happening. That there's a secret society, it's pernicious and horrible, things happen, human sacrifice, what have you. And then someone uncovers it, everyone's outraged, and then we all forget. And I think that is kind of by design. I think not even kind of, I think that is by design. That these things will keep happening. And they keep happening because we all forget. We all collectively forget. Not even just by choice, but, well, definitely sometimes by choice, but also because powerful people will use the power that they have to make sure that we forget. And their methods change, right? You know, traditionally it's been through textbooks, sane washing, sanitizing, removing history, manipulating history. Now in a new media landscape, it's about dizzying you with so much information that you just want to shut it all off because you become so numb, you don't even want to talk about it. You don't want to hear about it anymore. You're over it. You're on to the next thing. And I also recognize the part that regular citizens, regular people, people who are trying to do good, people who are otherwise God-fearing, kind, generous people, like me or anyone else, the part that we play in really not examining anything that would actually completely dismantle anyone's ability to do this again and recreate this. And what I mean by that is, we as human beings need a common enemy. We've always needed a common enemy. We've always needed a collective person that we burn at the collective enemy that we burn at the stake. We always want to see heads roll. We always want to see someone blamed. We are willing to scapegoat people in order to get this person that we can burn in effigy. We've done this before in history. We would much rather do that than examine the institutions that enable this type of horrible thing to happen and keep happening. But I understand that that is opaque. It's at this sort of like inaccessible level, right? It's like, it's not concrete terms. What are institutions? What are systems? You know, it's very vague language. I acknowledge that. But is there something in a specific hospital or school or what have you that has an incentive system so vulnerable to psychopaths, or has an incentive system that rewards antisocial behavior? That is a much harder question. And I think it's a question we need to ask. We need to keep asking. We need to keep drilling. And I think we do all have a part to play. I'm not a lawmaker, but people might be called to want to run for office. People might be called to want to protest. People might be called to want to be a journalist. I think everyone's part to play is different. And I think as an artist, I'm an actor, I'm a writer. I think when you're an artist, the power that you have is being able to influence the type of questions that human beings ask other people and themselves. Like, I think that's the most powerful thing about artists, is that we can honestly like determine and dictate like the questions about the human condition that are being asked among people, being examined, right? If you are in a position where you can determine what questions are being asked, I think that's quite powerful. And I think that's an incredible power that artists have, particularly, I would say, writers and filmmakers. So I guess this is the glimmer of hope, right? Like, yes, I do think that the moniker stands true. History rhymes. It doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And it does worry me that history buffs are rather pessimistic people. At least the historians that I've met are rather pessimistic people. It seems like they feel as though we're doomed to the same foibles. But I also see a tremendous amount of hope from history, and I see a tremendous amount of hope around me. And I want to create a world, because I have very young people in my life, I want to create a world or contribute in any possible way I can to creating a world that where it pays to be fucking good. Because it fucking really feels like it pays to be bad right now. And I want them to grow up in a world where it pays not only just materially, but philosophically, karmically, to be good, to be in service to other people. Yeah.